First, though, a book extravaganza. Maybe we should just quit with all of these cute names for the segments from now on, now that Chaz is gone. Jon Page is with us from DYMOCKS to talk to us all about it. G'day, Jon.
Hey Josh, how's it going?
I'm going to persist with book extravaganza, but we can call it Super Thursday. Ours is Super Tuesday. The UK had Super Thursday.
Yes.
What is it?
So basically, this is a giant book release day where nearly all the new releases are coming into bookstores on the same day. Now, this has kind of been a trend in the UK for the last couple of years where they've had a Super Thursday in September. But this is the first time it's actually happening in Australia. So we are getting a huge book release across the nation on Tuesday. And there's been a number of factors that's influenced this. I mean, because of COVID, there's been a lot of book titles that were delayed through the year. And for some reason, they've all been rescheduled for the end of September. And then on top of that, we're starting to gear into Christmas. And this is kind of the time of the year where all the big books for Christmas start to get released. So there's been this convergence of Christmas releases with books being delayed, and we are getting this one massive release date next Tuesday.
Wow! So this is an initiative from the publishers, not from the booksellers.
I wouldn't want to say it's an initiative. I don't think it's been planned from the publishers. I think it has just worked out this way.
Wow.
And so, we've been scrambling to kind of try and deal now with the logistics of all these titles coming in at once.
So if you're someone like me who already has more books than they can read on their bookshelf, this is going to be a daunting and stressful week next week.
This could cause you a bit of extra anxiety in your reading life. Yes, the challenge now is and I'm the same. I've got a massive pile of books next to my bed waiting to be read, staring at me with, their lonely book eyes. And this is just going to, almost double your pile no matter how big it is already.
Well, I want to know from listeners how they relate to their to-read piles, their stacks, their shelves. Like, is a big drop of new books going to be exciting to you or overwhelming to you? Are you the type of person who walks into your bedroom and sees 6 books stacked next to your bed and goes, "Oh, goody, I have so many things to read"? Or are you, like me, someone who walks in and feels guilty and feels like the books are staring at you going, "Why haven't you read me yet?" I'd love to hear from you on the text line 0467 922 702, or give us a call 1300 222 702 about how you manage your incoming influx of books. How many books do you actually get through? Do you plan to read 10 books a year and end up reading 1? Or are you really good about it? How do you think about large influxes of new content? Personally, Jon, I love buying a new book, and I can't walk past a bookstore without wandering in. But then once I've got it and bring it home, the excitement quickly wanes because then I put it underneath other things that I feel like they have more of a right to be read because they've been waiting longer.
Well, this is the trick. Do you read in order, or do books that you've just purchased skip the queue? I must admit, I'm a bit of a skipper.
I'm a skipper.
Skipping the reading pile queue. Like if I get a new book and I want to read it, it's going straight to the top of the pile. It's next.
Yeah.
The books have been sitting there for maybe 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. Be damned. This is the one I want to read next. I love this author. I have to read it right now. So there's no queue in my pile. It's literally whoever is the favourite at the time when I'm ready for a new book.
What if, like me, you happen to be about a third of the way through a book that you're mildly enjoying but aren't really, really drawn to, but you still do want to finish it, and you know that if you start the new book, you're probably never going to get around to finishing that one?
Yes, this is the other one as well. Do you dump what you're already reading and really prioritise, or do you start speed reading? I've done both. If it's a massive release, like if it's a book that everyone's been waiting for, the book does get jettisoned and I go straight into the new one. But I've also been known to grab that new book and it's like, right, I'm knuckling down. I'm going to speed read this one I've got at the moment so I can finish it as quickly as possible. So that brand new one that's just been released can get into my hands as quickly as possible without me not finishing the one that I had already started.
Yes, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, yesterday I actually went to the bookstore and I bought David Mitchell's new book because I'm a big Mitchell fan and I haven't read it yet. And
we were talking about it last time.
We were, that's right. And it was because I knew that I was going to be talking to you and I would have felt so embarrassed not having at least bought it and read the first couple of pages. So I got it and I was super excited, but I was what caught my eye on the bookshelf was a new collection of essays by Zadie Smith, the American writer and essayist. Well, she's English actually, isn't she? But I think she lives in New York. And this was written during the pandemic lockdown. So I thought I'd love to know what she thinks about this. So I bought it, forgetting that the book that I'm actually a third of the way through, that this is going to interrupt, is a Zadie Smith novel. So I'm just substituting her for another thing, which I feel bad about.
You're substituting one Zadie Smith for another.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse?
I think it's better because this is a short little recent compendium. Yeah. And the novel, it's all right. It's good. I love her prose, but it's not. It's not a page turner.
No, see, and this is it. When you get a new book in, you kind of start to judge the one you're reading at the moment a little bit more critically.
Right. I know.
Are you as worth my time as this new book that I've just bought is going to be worth my time?
Are you sorry, John? Are you a concurrent reader? Do you ever have multiple books going on at once?
No, I've only ever read concurrently if I've got, say, one on audio and one reading.
Yeah.
That way I think I can separate it in my brain that they're two separate stories. But if I've ever tried to read the same book, everything just gets muddled up, and I'm waiting for a character to come back into the story, but they don't actually even exist in that book because they were in the other book that I was reading.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting them to come in and go, where's this character gone? What has this author done? And it's not even their fault because it's not even their character.
That's excellent. What is standing out to you in terms of the releases that are about to drop on Tuesday?
It's we're trying to work out the priority of what can come into the store and what needs to come out on the shelf first, and even that's a nightmare. So for me, the one I cannot wait to start recommending for people is the new Craig Silvey. So listeners may be familiar with Jasper Jones from about 11 years ago. This is his first novel since Jasper Jones. It's called Honeybee. It is part of Super Tuesday, and it's the best Australian novel I've read this year, and there's been some cracking Australian novels this year. There are even some cracking Australian novels that are coming out on Super Tuesday, but the Craig Silvey Honeybee is just a book I really want to start sharing with as many readers as possible because it's such a special book.
How wonderful.
Yes. It's one of those ones that kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stick up while you're reading it, and it made me cry on public transport as well, which is always embarrassing, but it's one of those books that just gets you straight in the heart. So it's a story about a 14-year-old boy who is, at the start of the novel, this sounds very dark, but I can assure you the book isn't as dark as this sounds, but he is contemplating taking his own life on a bridge, and he looks down the other end of the bridge, and there's this older man who is about to do the same thing. And they then have this unspoken pact that they're going to look out for each other and not to do what they're about to do. And the book is about their friendship and their reasons for wanting to end their own life, but then their reasons for not doing it and this friendship that they form. And it's just a beautiful book with beautiful characters and a great Australian sense of humour. And it's just a book you want to share with other people because it's just so special.
How lovely. That sounds great. What else are you looking at?
Well, then, we're still speaking Australian, so the new Trent Dalton is out next week as well. So this was one of the ones that got delayed. It was supposed to be coming out in May this year, but because of COVID, the publisher rescheduled it. So now it's coming for Super Tuesday, and it's called All Our Shimmering Skies. Now, again, listeners, Trent Dalton wrote Boy Swallows Universe, which was one of my favourite books from a few years ago, has been a perennial bestseller. I think it just became the biggest-selling Australian debut of all time the other week. So people are eagerly awaiting his follow-up as well. And this book's set in Darwin during the Second World War, and is just another kind of crazy, almost kind of a bit of magical realism mixed in with great historical fiction. And so everyone that loved Boy Swallows Universe is going to want this on their reading pile. And then the other big book is another Australian, and this is what I love about Super Tuesday as well. We're not dependent on all these big international releases. Everything's being led by fantastic local publishing. Jessica Townsend, who wrote a children's book called Nevermore, which was it's been described as an Australian Harry Potter, and normally I cringe at those comparisons, but this book is spot on in that realm. It is a great book for kind of 10 to 14-year-old readers. Great kind of magic, great story, and the third book in that series is dropping on Super Tuesday as well. So there's books for all readers that are coming out. This is what's so fantastic. We've got cookbooks coming through as well. We've got great non-fiction. We've got great international authors. It's just, it is a Super Tuesday. It's just going to be an amazing day in book selling.
Great. On the text line, Zelda writes, I have a Kindle So my book's to be read and not sitting collecting dust. But that means I can finish one book and immediately open the next one. So I'm never anywhere without a book and another one ready to go. Fits in my handbag, no guilty feelings, but then I am an avid reader and will read whenever I get a chance to read. Thanks, Zelda. Another person writes, Josh, you've just described my relationship with books. If I never bought another book, I'd still not get through everything on my shelf. And there are podcasts to listen to and Netflix to watch. No wonder my kids feel ignored. And Angela writes, this is me, totally haphazard book reader. Love them all. Can't wait for next week. And Con writes, I like both paper books and my e-reader, but paper books create more anxiety. For example, I downloaded George Orwell's entire non-fiction collection. It's 10,800 pages long and is a lot less daunting on an e-book than if it was a paper book. That's so interesting, Con, because I too downloaded George Orwell's entire non-fiction collection earlier this year because I wanted to read, was it Homage to Catalonia?
Yes.
I think, yeah, and I felt bad that I'd never read it. But I have the opposite thing, where if it was a physical book, I'd somehow feel more obligated to keep reading it. Whereas when it's lost in the ones and zeros of my e-reader, I don't go back to it.
Yes, I think I'll go with Zelda's comment as well. I'm the same. If it was on my ebook, I forget about it. I need that guilt to remind me that book has been in my pile or is in my pile, because if it's on my e-reader, if I don't pick up the e-reader, I'm not going to see what's in my library, so I don't get prompted to read it. So having the physical book as a pile next to my bed going, read me, read me, read me, I need that guilt to read it. Otherwise I'll just forget I even have it, and I'll be like 6 months later like, oh yeah, I had that book, didn't I, the whole time, and I never got around to it.
Yeah, no, I've gone all the way back to physical books, I'm afraid. There's something lovely about them, especially in bed, because you also don't have the light. I still have an e-reader that does emit light. Now, there's someone also writing about the Zadie novel. Thank you for this. Zadie novel won't change with time, but the new essay one is relevant to the here and now in relative terms. So that's my license to read the new one. Yes, it does need to be
read now. It's current affairs.
And is there anything else from overseas, John, that you're looking forward to for next week?
Yeah, no. So again, we've got Ian Rankin returns with his latest crime novel, Song for the Dark Times. So he's always a very much loved crime writer. I can't wait to revisit his detective novels. I'm looking. The list just goes on and on. We've got some great. Where are some good international ones? But again, I say it really is being led by the local authors, which I think is great. I mean, this is the big change in the book industry over the last 5 years. Is we've gone from Australian writers to being kind of the second fiddle to the UK authors and the US authors, whereas now it's the Australian authors who are leading the way. They're the best-selling books. They're the books that people are coming in for, and the international authors are kind of the add-on now rather than the other way around, which is just fantastic for the whole book industry and our stories and our culture. That's what readers want to read first, is stories about Australia and not stories about overseas. Speaking
of stories about overseas, do you know off the top of your head when Martin Amos's biography is coming out?
Not off the top of my head,
because
no.
a certain Richard Glover and I keep bumping into each other, and he's absolutely loving it. And so when I was buying the David Mitchell book yesterday, I asked for it, and they said, "Oh, that's not out yet." And I thought, of course, Glover gets an advance copy from somewhere. I guess I'm going to have to wait like a pauper that I am and wait.
It's not coming on Super Tuesday. I can definitely tell you that.
Okay.
Because it's not on my Super Tuesday list. But I think it is coming. Or actually, no, I'm wrong. Inside Story, it is coming on Super Tuesday.
Oh, excellent. Great.
I just didn't get to see it. This is what happens when we've got all these titles coming in, things slip through the list. So yeah, it'll be here Super Tuesday for you as well, Josh.
I've got a lot of reading to do before Super Tuesday then, before I can take these on. And lastly,
we do have a long weekend next weekend as well. So you can come in Super Tuesday and you can get cracking on the long weekend.
That doesn't help me, John. All that happens on a long weekend is I do the breakfast shift instead of doing the afternoon shift on the public holiday while Wendy and Robbie are off. Someone's texted in saying, what was the name of the author for teenagers?
Jessica Townsend.
Jessica Townsend. Fantastic. Thanks, John. Great to talk to you. Good luck on Tuesday.
Josh. Thank you. We'll need it.
Okay, see ya. That's Jon Page from DYMOCKS about Super Tuesday next week and managing your pile of books to be read.